What up? What up? What up? It's the man Sean P coming in live. This is the Sean P Experience, man. I keep telling y'all every week. Every guest is special. Every show is important. There is no hierarchy, right? But this show is quite special to me. I have the ESPN, the Athletic, the CNN, and every other kind of news outlet. I have Jeff Pearlman on today, man. Award-winning, 11-time New York Times best-selling. Like, this is a major, major opportunity. I thank you for coming to the show, man.
It's my pleasure. Come on. You told me I get a free bowl of gumbo, a free hat, and a $10,000 payout. So it was worth it. I'm here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure, for sure. For those that don't know, let me do a proper introduction, man. Today I have Jeff Pearlman, the American sports writer and 11-time New York Times best-selling author, known for his deep diving biographies of sport icons and cultural figures. He is the former senior writer for Sports Illustrated and has contributed to major outlets like ESPN, The Athletic, and CNN. His latest book, Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur, is his first non-sport biography, which he interviewed over 600 people. That's crazy. Can't wait to ask you about that. His podcast, Two Writers Slinging Yang podcast, where he interviews fellow journalists about the craft. I love that. And last but not least on this, TV adaptations, man. His 2014 book, Showtime, served as the basis of HBO series Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty. So welcome to the Sean P Experience, Jeff Pearlman.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Cool to be here.
So always a good icebreaker, man. I love having my hip hop journalists on the show asking them, outside of the whole book and everything like that, as a fan, what's your favorite Tupac Shakur song?
So for me, now it changes. I think most most music fans, like your song choices change, different experiences in your life. For a long time, it was I Ain't Mad at You. For a long time, it was actually, I would alternate I Ain't Mad at You and Life Goes On. But I would say the song that really, really does it for me in a lot of ways is there's a song on All Eyes on Me called Shorty Wanna Be a Thug. And you know this song, right? And like in a way, that song is like the line between like Tupac fans and not Tupac fans, because it's not one of his top 30 most famous songs. It's on his biggest album, obviously. What I like about it is like it's everything about Tupac as a storyteller, like him trying to sort of embody what it is to be 16 years old, whatever. I think he was 12 in the song, 12 years old, built like a Mack truck, this kid who's like trying to live this life, and Tupac just really personifying it and giving life to it. I just think it's a great song. And it was the production on that whole album is so amazing that just the whole thing is great. So
yeah, man, I totally agree. Whenever that album came out, I was in junior high when that came out, man. So I remember my friends and I, dubbing the tapes with the two cassette tapes, and all of us doing that, trying to get our copy of it, man. But my favorite Tupac song is My Ambition of a Rider. Is my favorite Tupac.
Great song.
Just the aggression and the way he approached it was just incredible.
Yeah. I will tell you the one thing about writing a Tupac book that kind of stinks, if you want to talk about a negative, is for 3 years of my life, all I did was think about Tupac, focus on Tupac, listen to Tupac music. And now I'm kind of taking a vacation because all I did for 3 years, it's not natural to just listen to one artist for 3 years of your life. It starts getting in your head a little too much. So now I've been listening to a lot of like Hall & Oates and like, whatever, just like Tribe Called Quest and stuff that's taking me away a little bit to need a break. But I still love Tupac and I'll certainly come back, to it.
So outside of Tupac Shakur, I mean, of course, you could be included. What's your top 5 dead or alive rappers?
Well, top 5? Okay. Number 1 would be Tribe Called Quest. So we're not including Tupac. I would probably have Tupac number 1. Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, Tupac, Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy. I would say J. Cole. My son really got me into J. Cole. I know there's some debate over that. His last album was a little disappointing, but it's okay. And 5th, I guess I would go. You know what? This is lame, but I just want to say there is a divide between like, do I listen to a ton of Public Enemy now? No. But Public Enemy is, to me, was one of the most important groups of my development of loving music, and also trying to understand like Black culture and militancy and blah blah blah. So Public Enemy hugely important to me. So like Heavy D and the Boys, I played Heavy D and the Boys nonstop when I was growing up, like nonstop. Big Daddy Kane nonstop when I was growing up. Do I listen to them a ton now? No, I listen to more Kendrick Lamar now than I would listen to Big Daddy Kane. But I would say that those are, so I would have to, I'll throw a merging of Big Daddy Kane and Heavy D and the Boys as my kind of, Heavy D and the Boys is one of the most underrated. Heavy D is a great rapper who's kind of been forgotten by time. It actually bothers me. Same with Shock G and Digital Underground. So it's an incomplete list, but there you go.
No, I love it. And it's not a part of my questions, but what you did in the book talking about Shock G, like people only see it for the big nose and the homie thing, but you really gave him his flowers as a musician and his ear and everything he understood. You did a good job of showing that in the book, in my opinion.
Wait, don't you think, honest to God, I really mean it. You may disagree with me. It's totally cool if you do. For myself, and I think for a lot of people, even diehard hip hop fans, I think in a lot of ways, because of the Humpty kind of gimmick of it all, and it was cool, but like it was a gimmick, even he would say that, people forget just how brilliant he was. And I said at one point he was like a Doberman, where he hears sounds that other people don't hear. And I just think Shock G was, to me, Digital Underground was the Grateful Dead of hip hop. It was a collective of a bunch of really talented people coming together, mixing sounds and mixing approaches. And I just think like Shock G is so underrated. And his manager, a guy named Atron Gregory, was Digital Underground's manager. He gave me an album of Shock G playing piano that he just put out a few years ago after he died. And it's brilliant, man. The guy was brilliant. So it's nice to hear you say that, because I do think more people need to understand how great he was.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
Like all the clock and the antics and everything, but Flavor Flav is like, he can play all kind of instruments, and he's like a genius, but he does all these things to where if you're not really paying attention, you won't see it in all the antic stuff, you know?
I actually think a lot of people, even diehard hip hop fans, even people who grew up listening to hip hop, sometimes make the mistake of not realizing how great the musicianship is, or if you're even not the musicianship, the appreciation of music and the depth of the music. And like I spent a lot of time with one of Tupac's producers, was a guy, DJ Darrell, out of the Bay Area. And like his knowledge of like Fleetwood Mac and Donna Summer and the Indigo Girls and Willie Nelson, like these guys aren't just like hip hop artists, they're musical savants. And Shock G was a musical savant. And I think a lot of, like, I remember when there was the Dr. Dre documentary on, it was either Netflix or HBO, and Dr. Dre was saying one of his favorite songs is Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. And I was like, that makes perfect sense, because Dr. Dre is not a rapper. He's not a hip hop producer. He's a producer, period. And he knows different music. And I think most people would be surprised Tupac's depth of knowledge of music was insane. And most of these guys have really deep knowledge of music.
Before we dive into my personal questions, man, I love asking my guests this. Especially a person like you with so many interviews, you've done so many things with this book already. What's something that you haven't talked about with this book that you wish, like, man, I wish I could have dove into this more in my previous interviews? What's something that you feel is not talked about enough in this book? It's a big book, by the way. The large book.
Thank you. Yeah. That's a great question. You know, I think what happens when you promote a book is you have like 7 or 8 at the most talking points that people go to, right? All right. The Brenda's Got a Baby story, obviously, right? Finding the Grave, obviously. I didn't see this coming, but there was a moment in high school when he kissed a boy. I didn't think that was even a remotely big deal, but the thing went, right? I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Like, and I honestly think, I'm not just saying this, I think people overlook and rarely wound up talking about the musicianship of Tupac and the way he just, I mean, his brain was like a freaking computer, and like musically, and he would hear something, he would hear a song, someone would play him a song, and he'd be like, that right there. And you'd be like, what? That 3-second thing, that strip, 3-second thing, that's what I want. Give me that, take it over here, put it there. His sense of music and his understanding of songs and exactly what he was looking for. And, you know, people give the producers a ton of credit, which they should, but Tupac, man, he had an ear That was unbelievable. And I just think I understand why, but I wound up not talking very much about the actual music of Tupac and more about, oh, is he gay or not gay? I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, what difference does it make? He was 16 years old in high school. Let's talk about his music a little more. So I get it, but that would be the thing.
Well, guess what? I plan on doing it later on, but let's do it right now. So
Okay.
let's talk about his childhood, his early childhood, like how much he was writing all the time, how much he was playing music, little tape recorder or whatever, like all the time, training that ear, training the pocket, training understanding things. His peers didn't understand how to do haikus, and he understood Shakespeare and all this acting background. And that's
Yeah.
about the 10,000 hours before you ever had a chance to move. Talk about that.
Well, I think a lot of it stems from his mom and his mom, Afeni Shakur, like two things she did. Afeni Shakur, I mean, if we're being honest, like as a mom, I mean, she went through a lot of trauma of her own, right? So during those 3 years of research, did I find myself becoming Tupac? I would say no, I didn't. There's a question on there. It's kind of funny. It's a funny question though.
Yeah, we got interactive chat, man. So I love my chat.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I definitely did not become Tupac, but I became obsessed with Tupac in very unhealthy ways where you just like all you do, where your wife is like, can we not talk about Tupac? Can we just not talk about Tupac for a few hours? It's like, okay. So his mom obviously went through a lot of trauma on her own, kind of in a way inflicted a lot of that trauma on Tupac. So there were negatives in Afeni Shakur's parenting, obviously. But two of the things she did, number one, she read him and then forced her kids, Tupac and his sister Set, to read the newspaper, read the newspaper, read the newspaper, read the newspaper. What does this article about Jimmy Carter mean to you? What does this article about what's going on in Iran mean to you? What does this article about the way laborers are being treated? Cesar Chavez, Malcolm X, on and on. Like, what do these mean to you? So that led him to thinking, I would say, in advanced ways to your average 7, 8-year-old, where he's thinking about the news in broader context. Also really raised him with a Black Panther ethos. Afeni Shakur was a Black Panther. She believed very strongly in self-determination, self-preservation, standing up for yourself, standing up for your people. She instilled that on her son and daughter in very big ways. So like, I always say like later on, like recently, this kind of a jump, but like when the ICE raids were going on out here in Southern California, I was sort of disappointed by the number of celebrities who just didn't do anything about it and sat back in their mansions. And when it comes to hip hop, and it's not fair for me to just call out hip hop artists because it's bigger than that. Where was Taylor Swift? Where was Olivia Rodrigo? Where were the members of Green Day? Where are any of these people? Brad Pitt? Where were we? Well, like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, not a peep, right? Not a peep. Tupac, even at age 54, I just can't believe he wouldn't be out there because he was raised with a Black Panther ethos that you fucking stand up and you fight the man and you stand up for your people. And this is what you do. And that was instilled by his mother in a very profound way. And the other thing she did, she played a lot of music for him, like a lot of music. She would buy records for $1, $2 at the thrift store, bring them home, play them on the phonograph. So he'd be listening to a lot of songs early on. I talked to one of the most important people in Tupac's life was a woman named Yasmin Fula. She's the mother of Yaki from the Outlaws and also just helped raise Tupac, former Black Panther too. And she was just talking about the music they would play for these kids, Curtis Mayfield and Sam Cooke and Black Seeds Keep on Growing and all these songs. So early on, he was very aware of what was going on around him, very aware of what was going on in the world, and also increasingly aware of music, phonics, sounds, how they work, what they do. And that was very much from his mom and the people around him.
Yeah, man, whenever you saying that song, I remember Marvin Gaye saying to me, like, give you an insight of what he was taking in as a child just around the house. You know, what he around all the time in the household like that.
Yeah, 100%. So like when he says, Marvin Gaye used to blah, 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 that's experience speaking to him. And like, it is interesting because, the song Dear Mama for a lot of people is the quintessential Tupac song. And I think Dear Mama is a great song. But the one thing I definitely learned through the process of this book, and Yasmin and I talked about this a lot, in a lot of ways, Dear Mama was an aspirational song. It was what he wanted his mom to be. So like his mom was not always there with a hot plate. His mom wasn't always there with support. His mom wasn't always like she had a tough, traumatized existence, and she didn't fully know how to parent because she was raised freaking in a very tough environment, a tough background. And I think that song is a great, great song, but I don't think it's 100%. It's not what people fully think it is. In a lot of ways, it's an aspirational song of what he wanted of an upbringing that he had hoped to give to his kids if he had kids one day. But it is what it is.
So you did over 600 interviews. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know about Tupac.
You might. It's possible. Yeah.
But my personal experience, many years ago, I'm here in Louisiana, of course. Geronimo Pratt is from Louisiana.
Sure.
So one day I had a lumberyard job in Happen Chance. My buddies in the back, they're like, man, Geronimo Pratt in the front checking out. I'm like, man, stop playing. They're like, no, Geronimo Pratt in the front. And so I had been reading Black Panther books right up to that point.
Yeah.
And so I run to the front and I meet Geronimo Pratt. He had a 30-minute one-on-one conversation, me and Geronimo Pratt.
Wow.
But he was telling me how much Tupac Shakur did not want to do that song. Like they made him do, in his opinion, they made him do Dear Mama. He didn't want to do Dear Mama.
Yeah.
He was telling me like, he said about his mother and their relationship at that time, he and his mom. Like they pretty much took his arm to go and do Dear Mama, which is his most beloved song, baby. But he didn't want to do it.
Yeah. There was a song a couple of years ago by Rhapsody called Afeni. I don't know if you heard it. The song Afeni. It was a song about Afeni. And it's weird, right? Like, just being honest, like it is weird being a white author doing a Tupac book and then trying to explain Tupac and his mother to people, because it's kind of like you really maybe you should stay in your lane. Maybe this isn't like right, whatever. So I did try to put the work in, and I really did work hard on this book, as you saw. But I do think, like that song, I love that song when it came out. I thought it was a beautiful ode to Afeni Shakur. I still think it's a beautiful ode to Afeni Shakur. But I think people do have a misunderstanding of Afeni Shakur. I do. Like, it doesn't make her a bad person that she was beaten down by life, that she became a crack addict, but it makes her a complicated figure. And like people who just want to make it like, oh, Afeni Shakur, she was a queen and she raised a champion, blah, blah. It's way too simplistic. Like, he wanted her to get off crack. She wouldn't get off crack. She kicked him out of the apartment in Marin City. He goes to live with Demetrius Strickland, a local DJ. Like, he's like, I always say, if you want to understand Tupac, to me, to sum up Tupac, the easiest way to sum up who he is, and it's complicated, even easy, is this. Your mom is your hero. She's a Black Panther legend. Everyone you meet, you talk about, my mom is a Black Panther. My mom's a Black Panther. Like, that was the point of pride. So whoever the hero is in your life, picture that person, and then you watch them become a crack addict, and you watch them in the community you are living in, watch her buying crack from your friends. So like, your hero is a strung out crack addict, desperate for rock from friends. Like, that is Tupac. That explains what he comes from, what he went through, what he experienced, and all he had inside of him better than anything else I've seen. And I think when we just say, oh, Afeni was a queen, or Afeni was blah, blah, we're almost doing too little service to what this Tupac Afeni set his sister went through, and they went through hell. So
yeah, I think because I read biographies a lot, biographies, memoirs, things like that. Like, any person is more complicated than that. Like, nobody you can read, it's gonna just be a shining object. You know, you kind of like deify these people, but like nobody's that cut and dry. Like, it's not. I mean, life is complicated. So I mean, we gotta give the proper grace. You know.
I just finished reading a great book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's called Divided Soul. It's about Marvin Gaye. And it was written by this guy. Wow. It's a great, I'll tell you what, I'm not kidding. I have this sitting on my shelf. If you give me your address at the end, I'll just send it to you, because I have nothing. I don't.
Wow. So, that just happened. Okay.
That'd be great. It's a great book, right? And Marvin Gaye is one of my favorite singers of all time. I think the vocals on Sexual Healing are some of the most beautiful vocals of all time. And I think what he did with his voice was instrumental. Like, I just think Marvin Gaye is a genius. You read the book, you do not come away thinking this is the greatest person ever. Like, you're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff about Marvin Gaye that really sucks, right? But like, that's okay. Like, I actually think that's okay. I wrote a book about Walter Payton, the great Chicago Bear. Walter Payton is one of my greatest football. He's one of my biggest football heroes of all time. I had a poster of him on my wall when I was a kid. He was not a great husband. He was not a great father. That's okay. People are complicated. It doesn't take away from the joy he gave me. It doesn't take away from the accomplishments of a Black Panther, of Afeni Shakur. Tupac doing some not great things doesn't take away from how many people he inspired. It is okay to learn that your heroes aren't perfect, because the reality is none of us are perfect. And we all have our shit, and we all have our skeletons, and we all have things we're not proud of. And that's just part of the package of being human. So it is what it is.
Let me go back to the beginning. We kind of jumped for the sake of that the childhood. I love that though. What gave you the initial courage to say, you know what, I'm gonna go and say something different that has not been covered on this incredible person? I've read a ton of Tupac books before yours came out. I read a ton of Tupac books. I interviewed the author of The American Family, by the Shakur family.
Oh, Santi. Santi's the best. He's great.
Interviewed him twice for Tupac, and whenever Asada Shakur passed, I interviewed him again about Asada specifically. But anyway, when your book first came out, I'm thinking to myself, like, what is he going to say that I haven't covered in all of these amazing books? What gave you the courage and the mindset, like, you know what, I'm going to go and say something different? And second of all, what gave your publishers the courage to give you the green light?
Well, that's a better question. I remember when so I've written, this is my 11th book, but they've all been sports. 10 books were all sports. And I've had a pretty good run of sports books. You mentioned I had one book become an HBO show. Like, I've had good, like, I've been able to have a career, which is kind of half the battle. And when I said to my agent, I was like, I really want to write a Tupac book. He goes, you're a white Jewish sports writer. Like, why would you write a Tupac book? Which is a fair question. And I said, number one, I feel like the book I want to read about Tupac hasn't been done. And number two, I think it'd be a really interesting challenge. And my approach to books has always been the same. Whether you're writing about Walter Payton or Brett Favre or Tupac, you roll up your sleeves and you try to call everyone. Like, that's it. You try to call everyone. And the one thing, I'm sure they're better. Santi's a great writer, right? Like, I'm sure they're better writers and they're always better this and better that, but like, you can control how hard you work. And I just thought, I'm going to get the yearbooks and I'm going to call everyone. I'm going to go through the liner notes and I'm going to call everyone. I'm going to go to his childhood street and I'm going to knock on the doors. I'm going to go to Marin City. I'm going to knock on the doors. Like, I'm going to go to New York City and literally go to every address he lived on in New York City and try to describe what I'm looking at. That's what I wanted to do. And maybe it's more stupidity than courage. I never viewed it as like courageous. I just really thought there's a book I want to read. Like, I want to read the great Tupac book. Like, I want the book. And if someone else wrote it, I'd be like, great, I don't have to write this book. But I never felt like it was out there. So I wrote the book I wanted to write,
Let me ask you the tough question, right? So give me your opinion as far as like the disparities when it comes to publishing and books, because a lot of our writers don't get the same kind of advances or the same kind of ability to have access to certain archives and documents, things like that. Tell me your opinion about that kind of the rebuttal to that.
Well, I don't think in this case, I don't think that's true. Like, okay, I went on, there's a website, classmates.com. And if you pay whatever, $50, you can get a yearly subscription. Classmates.com has all these old yearbooks. So I found the Baltimore School for the Arts yearbooks. So then I called one by one by one. I just called the people. I went on Facebook, reached out to them, went on social media, reached out to them, got numbers, called them. Anyone can do that, right? I have a friend who lives in Baltimore near Dunbar, where Tupac went his freshman year. I couldn't find the Dunbar yearbook online. So I said to my friend, would you mind going to the Dunbar office, seeing if they have Tupac, the yearbook when Tupac would be in there as a freshman? He goes, sure. He walks over there. He walks in. Yeah, we have the yearbook. Can I see it? Takes pictures of all the pictures, sends it to me. I start calling all the people from Dunbar one by one by one. Marin City, like, I'm just being honest. There weren't a ton of white people walking around Marin City knocking on doors. Like, anyone can knock on doors in Marin City. I just went there, knocked on doors. Baltimore, East Baltimore. I walk around the block. I'm knocking on doors. Hey, any chance you remember the Shakurs when they lived here? Oh, what's his neighborhood like? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's for me. Now, I got decent money to write the book, right? Like, but it's not even what people think. Like, people are like, oh, you're getting rich off Tupac. I'll be totally honest. I got $250,000 to write the book, which might sound like a ton. That's 3 years. Like that's 3 years. So that's over 3 years. Any travel I pay for comes out of that money. So everything comes out of that money. It's not like, oh, and here's another 100,000 to travel. No. So like, that's it. It is not like I can make a living, but I'm not getting wealthy off of these things. Like it's not like that. And the way you survive as an author is hopefully you have one book coming out while you're working on another book. So you're getting multiple payments for books at the same time. Like you get paid, to get really nerdy about it, you get 4 payments. So let's say I get $250,000 to write the book. You get an upfront payment when you agree to write the book. You get a payment when you turn in the book. You get a payment when the book comes out. And then you get another payment a year later when it comes out in paperback. So what you're hoping for is you have one book coming out in paperback when the other book is maybe being accepted. So but it's not there's no get rich quick scheme here. There's not. And also, more to the point, some of my favorite authors working today are women authors of color. Like it is not an exclusive white field. Are there advantages to being a white person in America? No doubt about it. I'm not stupid. Like I won the lottery ticket. I'm a white guy who grew up in New York, blah, 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 blah. But like Howard Bryant is my favorite author right now going. He just wrote it. Do you know Howard?
No, I'm trying to get him on the show. But when the book came out, I was emailing him and we talked a couple of times and then like the emails like stopped. I've been trying to get him on the show since the book came out.
I'll put no word for you. I know Howard. I've known Howard for years.
Thank you.
Yeah, he wrote his recent book on Paul Robeson and Jackie Robinson was amazing.
I love Paul Robeson.
Oh man, I learned so much from that book. That was a great book.
But
I'm just saying, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The reason why I asked you this question is whenever Jonathan Ige, Pulitzer Prize winning, by the way,
yeah, his good friend of mine
came out. Yes, sir.
Ige is a good friend of mine. He's a great guy.
So whenever his book King came out a couple of years ago, this is the kind of rebuttal that I was getting in my inbox, like who is this guy writing this book on King as if it shouldn't be or it can't be done. And as an up and coming journalist, I'm trying to pick the brains to, I'm trying to answer the questions,
It's a great question. It's a fair question, right? The thing is this, like, again, like I'm not stupid. Like I get it. Like being a white guy in America it's the gold ticket, right? Like if you're a white guy in America, it's ridiculous, but like, like you're not getting pulled over by the cops and you can get a job easier and blah, blah, blah. It's like anyone who denies that is just being stupid, right? For me with books though, honestly, God, like my biggest advantage was I got hired at Sports Illustrated at a young age, and that set me on a path. This is when SI was a huge publication and I was covering Major League Baseball. And that led to someone saying to me, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I said, I don't know. And they said, maybe you should do a book about the New York Mets. That book made the bestseller list. That kind of set me on my way. It is a very fair criticism to say, I don't think a white guy should be writing a Tupac book. Like, I get it. I'm not stupid. I get it. If someone had written the book I wanted to read, I would not have written this book. I'm not going to be a guy. People are like, you're going to do Biggie yet next? I'm like, no, I'm not making a career out of writing hip hop books. Like that would be kind of ridiculous. But I just think I wanted someone to write this book. So I just wrote the book. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I love to ask research questions on this show. And I love to answer
research questions. I love research questions. My favorite question.
Well, let's do it then. So I love when you said somewhere that you would not do a bio unless you covered at least 400 interviews. So give me the reason, like, why is that the baseline? Why is that the magic number, 400?
So I'm not doubting you. I'm sure I said that. It actually also depends. Like I'm working on an NBA book now, basketball book now. And so 400 might be unlikely because basketball rosters are small. So like, you know what I mean? Like if you're doing an NFL book, it's easy to hit 400 interviews because there's 60 guys on a roster. NBA roster is only 15. It's a little harder. But that being said, I just think like, okay, let's say hypothetically, just as an example, I'm writing about his time at Dunbar. So his freshman years at Dunbar High School. And he was only there for a year. This is in Baltimore. And he's only there for a year. And like someone mentioned to me, Sam Cassell. Are you an NBA fan?
Yes, I am. My first love is basketball, man. Yes.
Okay. So you know Sam Cassell.
Oh, yeah, all day. Come on, man. Houston Rockets. Right. I love you.
Right. But you never know. You know, some people aren't a basketball fan. But someone mentioned to me, I think Sam Cassell was at Dunbar when Tupac was. So I called, he was coaching, I think, with either the Sixers or the Clippers, but I called the PR guy, the media guy for the team. And I said, can you, I said, my name's Jeff Pearlman. I always write sports books, but I'm working on a book about Tupac. Can you ask Sam if he remembered being in high school with Tupac? And the guy calls me back and he's like, oh, Sam wants to talk to you. And I get him on the phone and he's like, oh man, me and Pac, it was either he sat behind me in class and he used to talk shit all the time and blah, 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 blah. And like he said to me, Cassell said to me, you're the first person who's ever interviewed me about this, right? That's why you make the 400 calls, because Sam Cassell only appears on one page of the book, but it's a great moment. Sam Cassell, Tupac, it's unexpected. It's really serendipitous.
It totally surprised me. I'm like, wait a minute. What? I never put that timeline together. Like, what?
Right. So like, that's why you call the 400 people. It's not one person might just tell you, like I met one person, I think it was when he was in middle school, and her main memory was Tupac had duck feet. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, he would stand with his feet like a duck. He had these duck feet and his teeth were like really bad and blah, blah. So that's it. That's all she gave me. That's worth the call. That's a little detail. I always say to my students, I teach like a journalism class out here. I always say like, it's not just a soda. It's a Diet Pepsi. And it's not just a Diet Pepsi. It's a Diet Pepsi with a rip in the label. And it's a Diet Pepsi that's half empty. And it's a Diet Pepsi that's a little flat because it's been open for 2 days. Like details, paint a picture. That's why I call 400, 500 people, because I want to paint a picture. And even if one person just tells me what kind of soda, or the Tupac liked Newports instead of cigarettes, or liked Hennessy, not just so-and-so. He liked orange crush, not just orange soda. He liked orange crush. That tells you something different. That paints a picture. So that's why.
No, that's great. That's great, man. So like, give us an idea of the overall process of hunting down this many people. I mean, even doing these shows like this, it's hard to get interviews. Anybody watching it, it's hard to get shows. So tell me, what's it like hunting down these people, man?
It's hard and long and kind of, I always view it like a collection. Like I print every interview out after I do it. I do it, transcribe it, print it out. And sometimes I just take satisfaction in seeing a big folder, and I always write the names of everyone and I'll do highlights and the whole thing. And I like collecting interviews. It makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel like I'm doing something, seeing it in front of me. Sometimes it's a pain. Sometimes people don't want to talk to you. Sometimes people really don't want to talk to you. You'll hit them back. You'll be like, hey, by any chance? No, man, I already told you I'm not doing it. All right, fine. It's a lot of like, it's a lot easier than it used to be. Like my first book came out in 2004. It's so much easier finding people. Well, it's easier and harder. It's easier because almost everyone's on Instagram or Facebook, depending on the age. So that does make it easier. It is harder because nobody answers their phones anymore. So it used to be you'd call people and you'd be like, hey, blah, blah. You can't get people on the phone. You have to text first. And I don't enjoy that as much. So it's basically just trying, sitting at a desk all day, calling people. At the same time, what I do is I build a huge library of Tupac material. So I probably bought 70 books off of eBay related to either Tupac. It could be a book about Baltimore. It could be a book about Marin City. And I also go on this website, newspapers.com, which if you don't have a subscription to, I highly recommend. It costs about $90 to $100. It's a great, you have newspapers.com?
No, but I will after this.
Oh,
I will.
It'll change your life. It'll change your life. I'm not kidding. And I'll build a day by day of Tupac. I'll literally spend weeks and weeks building a library of about 10,000 pages of Tupac articles. And what's valuable about that is you might find some tiny article and it said like, June 5th, 1992, Tupac and 3 of his friends walked into a pizza place and started rapping just off the cuff. The manager, Jim Smith, blah, 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 blah. All right, I'm going to call Jim Smith. I'm going to call the manager. So it's a lot of like that. And
are there black newspapers inside that archive as well? Because the past 4 or 5 years, I've been super studying the black press and, the Pittsburgh Carrier, the Defender, Chicago, all these press. Are some of those kind of things in there as well?
Some of them are, some of them aren't. There's another database called Nexus Lexus has more. I think Nexus Lexus had more black newspapers. What I wound up doing, I went to the Enoch Pratt Library in Baltimore to go through the So what's a black newspaper in Baltimore? Whatever the black newspapers in Baltimore, they had the archives there. So I was going through the archives, and that was like gold for me, because Baltimore is one of the most segregated cities in America. And if you just read the Baltimore Sun, especially from that time period, if you're going to read about the black experience, it'll be 4 blah 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 were arrested Tuesday. There was a drug bust Tuesday. There was a so and so, and they covered it from a very white reporter perspective. You go to the black newspaper, you're reading about the achievements, the accomplishments, things going on. There's this party, there's this barbecue, there's church celebration, there's a so and so, and it really gave a valuable perspective on what it was in the 1980s to be black growing up on the east side of Baltimore.
Yeah. So another hard question is, a lot of his family and friends are Black Panthers or former Black Panthers. And of course, they have their perspective about a lot of things. How do you gain trust and confidence to talk to them, in them to confide in you all these details?
All right, couple of things. Number one, I think I've learned over the years, like, it never hurts to admit what you are and what you're not, right? So, like, I've used this example a couple of times, but this is true. Like, I went to Marin City, and there's a guy there, Brian Tynes, who was an old crack dealer in Marin City. And he agreed to talk to me. And he was friends with Tupac. He's actually in the I Get Around video. If you watch I Get Around, there's a convertible that pulls up at the beginning. And Brian Tynes is the guy sitting in that convertible, right? And I sat down with him. We sat in his car in Marin City, right? And I said to him, I was like, look, man, my life is a 180 from yours. Like, my life is a 180. I was raised by, my dad was a CPA named Stanley. My mom was a probation officer. I grew up in a 98% white town in rural New York, middle of nowhere. I'm not pretending that I know your life, right? But you will never meet anyone who's more interested in hearing the details of your life. And like, all I want to do is learn and absorb your experiences. I was like, so you'll never have a more captive audience than you have right now. I think people like when you actually just want to listen to them. Like, people like, my dad used to always say, what's the number one thing people like talking about? What is the number one thing people like talking about? Themselves.
Yeah, themselves. Yeah.
100% true. So like, that was one. Number two is, early on, I met with, and actually Santi introduced me, Santi Elijah Holly, to Yasmin Fula. And Yasmin Fula is a former Panther. She was very close with Tupac, very close with Afeni. And we struck up a friendship real quick and a bond real quick. And she lives near me, and she's a lovely human being with a lot of trauma of her own. And once you can get an advocate, someone who's like, listen, this guy is okay. Like, this guy is trying to do it the right way. It goes a long way. And the other thing is, the whole Brenda's got a baby, finding the baby, that happened early in my research. So I don't think there's anything wrong with using your experiences to show how much effort you're putting in. So I would tell people, I'd be like, look, I'm going to tell you a story. It's probably the craziest Tupac story you've ever heard. You tell me if you're wrong. And they would always be like, holy shit, what? I'm like, yeah, I found the baby and we reunited the mom and blah, blah, blah. And that carried me a long way. So
anybody watching the show right now, if they're wondering why I'm not talking about that, I'm going to pride myself on trying to have unique questions. Okay. And a person like you is very hard doing so many shows, but the Grand Slam.
Good job, man. These are good questions.
The Grand Slam home run of this book is the Brenda got a baby situation. He did literally find the baby and Brenda from the song. Yeah. It's a real thing. I won't spoil it. It's not a spoiler kind of show, but that's why I'm not talking about it, because you talked about it so many times. I'm trying to hit other parts of the book if I can. So,
yeah. I just want to say, shout out my genealogist, Michelle Sully, really did the work. And what's amazing, if you're ever trying to find people in this world, get a good genealogist. And Michelle Sully is the best I've ever worked with. So
I actually interviewed a genealogist a couple of years ago on this show. So yeah, with respect to the genealogist, for sure. Yeah. Another important research question: after you compile all of these interviews, the book can only be so big. Yeah. How do you decide, like, man, I got to cut this, I got to cut this, I can't allow this? Like, how do you decide that as a biographer?
First of all, it's heartbreaking because you will inevitably have people. There was one guy in particular, I won't name him, who reached out to me, and I interviewed him for so long, and he was valuable. And it's not like I didn't use his material. I just didn't use his name. Meaning, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of how compilation goes. Like, someone might tell you, Tupac used to love hanging out at the Wendy's, right? Well, you're not going to say in the book, Steve Smith says Tupac liked hanging out at the Wendy's. You just say Tupac used to enjoy hanging out at the Wendy's. So there's one guy in particular who was like, wait, you didn't use my name at all. And it sucks. Like, it's actually heartbreaking because people give you their time.
Because again, people want to hear about themselves. They want to be able to say, look, on page 47,
Yeah.
I told you I'm in the Tupac book.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Me and the guy talked for 3 years.
There's nothing wrong with that, though. Like, there's nothing wrong with people saying, I gave you a lot of time and you didn't use me. That's kind of bullshit. Like, I actually understand that. And I always feel crappy about it. It just is the nature of the beast. I don't know, man. Basically what happens is, like, if I'm doing a chapter, let's say I'm writing about the Baltimore School for the Arts. I'll have all those interviews in front of me. I'll have them highlighted and annotated and all that stuff. And I'll just write off of that. And I'm not going to lie. There are moments in every book where it's done. I hand it in, the book comes out, and I'm like, oh, I did forget that one detail that was really good, or I did overlook it. It's a very inexact science for me. I'm very sloppy. I have paper everywhere. My office is very neat right now, but generally it's pretty sloppy. I have shit everywhere. My wife's like, can you just clean that up? It's like everywhere. And so I try to be as organized as possible, but I like everyone, I'm kind of flawed.
So in this book, what is the one moment that's on the cutting room floor? Like, man, I wish I could have put that in there. Man, I regret not putting that in there. What is that for this book?
Let me think for a minute. That's a good question. I don't have a hyper specific thing. I could just say, like, and I'm not hiding anything. It's just nothing hyper. I feel like there was, like, I got a lot of great details about when he was in prison. And I really took a lot of pride in finding all these people who served with him in prison. That was not easy. But I feel like there were a couple of details about what his life was like and the grittiness of his life that I probably could have done a little bit better. So maybe that. And also, he had a really close friend named Kendrick Wells, who he knew very well in Marin. And Kendrick died during the course of my writing this book of cancer. Lovely guy.
Oh, man.
And he gave me a lot of time. And I feel like I think after he died, I overlooked his material a little bit. There were probably a few details in there that I could have used. There was, like, I'll tell you the one, honestly, the biggest one. Suge Knight, it might be the worst human being on the planet besides Donald Trump. Like, he's a horrible, horrible human being. And some of the stuff he pulled at death row, just as far as, like, making people kneel on the floor naked and drink his urine and, like, weird, perverse stuff. I feel like maybe I even went a little, like, after a while, it's overkill. But I think, like, I could have done more on Suge Knight and just how brutally awful he was. Suge Knight is an infuriating figure. He reminds me a lot of Don King, where he'll be like, he'll take in young black men, say, you don't want to trust those people, trust me, brother. And then take advantage of these young men, making them have even less trust in society because an older black man is coming along saying, I will take care of you, I will nurture you. And then he does even worse to you and strips you of your trust completely. That to me is Suge Knight in the worst way.
Man, yeah. Way to put it. I wanna focus in on Tupac's childhood, man, because again, I think out of the whole book, the front half of the book surprised me the most.
Yeah.
Because of course, all of these books, and people talk about how bad it was and things, but, like, we have no idea how bad it was.
Yeah.
About viewing audience, the idea of, like, really how bad it was in early childhood, formative years. Like, talk about that.
I mean, to me, they moved to Baltimore. So he's in New York. He's in New York City. Then he moves to White Plains. His mom is addicted to drugs. They're always bouncing around. When they're in New York, his mom will basically take her kids, Set and Tupac, and leave them in a movie theater all day. Like, just drop them off, leave them in the movie theater all day. You guys figure it out. And they'll be there bouncing from movie, which sounds fun if you're 8, but isn't fun on repeat when your mom is whatever. At one point, Set told me one day they were like, let's at least make some money. And they went along I think it was the Bronx River Parkway with squeegees in a bucket trying to make money cleaning windows. Like, they had no money. I mean, no money. They were dirt poor without a male role model, a lot of men coming and going in their life. It was rough. And Set, his sister, put it best to me, the trauma. She said when they moved to Baltimore, and they moved into a row house in East Baltimore, really rough part of town, dilapidated row house, very thin walls, no air conditioning, no heat. And Set was saying Years later, she went to therapy. And she said the first thing she told the therapist about was the rats running along the baseboard and just hearing the of the rats. And you'd see rat shit everywhere. And you'd have to take food because the rats would just decimate the food and put it really high. Otherwise, the rats would eat the food and you had to go rid of it. So to her, it was that. And I actually think it's very interesting because he's in this row house in Baltimore, living in abject poverty with a mom who's addicted to crack. He barely has any food. He's sleeping on a mattress on the floor. But every day he's going to the Baltimore School for the Arts. And Baltimore School for the Arts is this beautiful, beautiful Mecca, a converted old hotel in downtown Baltimore. And he's hanging out with a lot of wealthy white kids from the suburbs of Baltimore. And he's going to their parties on weekends. So he's hanging out with these kids, going to their lavish homes, eating their food and seeing their swimming pools and all this stuff. Or just going to school and hanging out with these kids and having this incredible experience, listening to ballet and dancing and singing and acting and having these friends from all these walks of life. And every night you take the bus back home to the rats in your no heat, no air conditioning row house. It's not even the level of trauma again, I grew up in a very middle class background. It stuck with me. It sticks with me hardcore. Like just what he went through and what he endured. And also the yin and yang of it all, of going from here to here every day, here to here, here to here, here to here. Oh, you're going to hang out with your friend and have dinner at his house with his parents and his sister. And they're all sitting around the table. They say grace before the meal. Then they have, it's chicken and with green beans. And then we're going to have cobbler for dessert. And who wants orange juice or apple juice? And then you go back home to the rats. I just think it's a crazy, crazy juxtaposition of life.
I think that part of the book stick with me because later on in his adulthood, a lot of things that transpired, it seemed like there's a reverberation from that part of his life, that early childhood, the poverty. So it's like you're making certain choices, you still in the mindset of what that was.
100 trillion million %. And I'm really grateful I wrote this book. I really am. It was an education for me times a million, more than any book. I probably combined. And I think like there's been a lot of analysis of Tupac's music by people who know hip hop better than I do, by people who understand music better than I do. But for me personally, it all goes back to number one, being that kid on the floor in the row house in Baltimore, 110 degrees inside, rats scurrying around, nothing you can do about it. And number two, being that kid in Marin City, walking through, it was called the jungle where he lived, with a plastic bag or whatever slung over his shoulder with all his belongings, and his mom strung out on crack. And there was a point when his mom got pregnant again when they were in Marin City, and instead of going for an abortion, she just decided to smoke as much crack as possible to end the pregnancy. Like, you want to know what informs Tupac's music, or like Shock G used to say, he raps from the gut. Most people rap from, he said he raps from the stomach. Most rappers rap from the mouth or from the throat. Tupac, the stomach. To me, what that is rapping from those experiences and speaking sort of the truths. And I don't mean to babble, but the one thing I will say is early on, I made the mistake of saying in an interview way early on, Tupac, he wasn't a real gangbanger, blah, 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 and presented
I heard about that. I've seen this.
Yeah. He wasn't a phony. He wasn't a gangbanger. But what he was rapping about when he was rapping from the gut, from the stomach, is about watching your hero disintegrate before your eyes, not knowing where your next meal is coming from, the rats along the floorboard, the Black Panther experience. Also, like, not for nothing, your mom basically being kicked to the curb by the Black Panthers, like your mom being set aside. One year she's being invited to Princeton and Harvard to speak. The next minute, nobody even knows who she is. Like, that's what he's rapping about.
Okay, let's go to that. That's a very important question for me. I have my friends for years about a lot of our revolutionaries. Let's talk about the price of being a revolutionary. It's not just the Tupac Afeni Shakur dynamic, but like there are plenty of other people from that time period, and now their children have books, and their children talk about what it was like being under this person's, household. It's like it's not what you think it is.
No, it's so interesting.
The price of revolution. Some folks say, man, why did more people join the Black Panther Party? Why didn't more folks fight back? Why didn't more people, like, what was that stake? They don't understand. I mean, aside of Shakur, right? You spent all this time in exile. Like, that's not a vacation.
No,
And I
no.
said that for that show. They said, "Oh man, she was in exile for all these years. It's so much she can't do with her life. It's not a glamorous. It's not a glamorous life, you know."
She wasn't drinking mojitos on a beach in Cuba. Like, yeah. All right. First of all, it's very interesting because, as you know, for the most part, most Black men in America and most Black women in America have not been going to therapy. It's just taboo. It's always mental health has been it's a taboo subject in culture, in American culture, period. But I feel like, especially for Black men and women for a long time, the idea of going to therapy was a sign of weakness and insecurity. And oh, what kind of like, imagine going through fucking imagine being a Black man. Imagine being Afeni Shakur. This is the best way to put it. You're Afeni Shakur. You're 21 years old, pregnant with your son, in jail, being shuttled back and forth to court every day. You fire your own attorney because you don't trust her. You represent yourself, right? Panther 21 trial. You're pregnant with Tupac. They're feeding you an egg, a piece of white bread, and some water every day, one glass of milk in jail. You somehow win. You're a hero. You are an absolute badass hero. You're being invited to speak at universities. You're it, right? You still have all this trauma behind you that you haven't dealt with, but you've been thrust into the spotlight. Then all of it is yanked away because we just forget about people. It's what we do with everyone. Look at, when's the last time we talked about young Jock? You know, like, we forget about people. We just forget about people. So you're this person. And not only are you this person, now you're an addict and your kids are looking at you. And now they don't just see you as a hero anymore. They see you as a pathetic, wasted disappointment. Right? Imagine what that freaking carries with you. And for so many Panthers, like, I won't speak for you. I think a lot of people, when they think of the Panthers, they think of the fist up, they think of John Carlos and Tommy Smith, they think of UEP Newton, they think of these guys, and they look really cool, and they're wearing the black sunglasses, the black leather jacket, and they're standing up to the white man, and it's really cool, and they're armed. It's awesome, right? It's great. The visuals are awesome. But the reality is, number one, it didn't last. Number two, there are a lot of substance abuse issues. Three, there are a lot of mental health issues. And number four, society, Black and white, kind of turned their back on them after a while. And like, there weren't professorships waiting for these people. Like,
you know what it's like? The movie Scarface. Like how a lot of people glorify all of this movie. They don't think about the end of the movie.
yep.
It didn't end well. A New Jack City. Like, you see what you want to see. But the very end of it is not a glamorous ending. And they glorify these moments and not the whole entire the person's life after this, you know?
100 million% agree. And it's interesting because, like, I mentioned a guy I interviewed named Brian Times. And again, he was a crack dealer and a longtime friend of Tupac. And he told me a really good story. It's in the book about the first time he saw Tupac's Thug Life tattoo. And it was on the I Get Around set. And Tupac is like, and Brian Times, longtime dealer in Marin City. And Tupac shows him the Thug Life tattoo. And he's like, yo, what do you think of my tattoo? And Brian Tynes is like, I guess it's okay. Yeah, it's really cool, right? Don't you think it's cool? I guess so. And Brian told me the minute he saw the tattoo, he was genuinely disappointed. And I was like, why? He's like, as soon as he got that tattoo and he puts Thug Life across his chest and he's flashing it everywhere, he's making himself a target and he's making himself something. And like, he's like, honestly, God, what I wanted for Tupac, make your money, have your success, become a movie star, move to a mansion, move to a secure community, have some kids, have a family, like, live a life of security, find security in your life, whatever that is. That doesn't make you a sellout. It makes you someone who's smart. Like, take care of yourself. Doesn't mean you turn your back on the Black community, but like, take care of yourself, live safely, live smartly. And for a lot of people, it's just really hard to escape. And it just is. And like, it just sucks. I mean, the Black Panthers, every member of the Black Panthers, I mean, not every, but like, the Black Panthers are heroic figures in American history who have been treated horribly and disrespected in ridiculous ways. And they should be taught. Afeni Shakur should be taught about in schools. And most Americans, Black and white, if they know about her, know she was Tupac's mom, and that's it.
I'll tell you this, but and a million, whoever watch this show later on, right? Hopefully it's a million people. But like, when I talked to Geronimo Pratt that time, I was so excited. I'm in my 20s. I'm a kid, basically, right? Yeah. I'm excited about all the folks I'm reading about. I talked to Geronimo Pratt, and the names I'm mentioning his demeanor changed, his energy changed.
Yeah.
Because of course, between them, it was so much distrust at this point. You don't know who to trust. And then second of all, the ones that did become professors and go to universities and go and get tenure, they feel like they were betrayed by them. Like we're supposed to be together in exile or together going to prison wrongfully accused for 30 years or whatever. But
Yeah.
y'all went and go to UC Berkeley or wherever y'all went. And he was really, really mad and offended when I mentioned those names. He
Yeah.
totally shifted. And I was intimidated, like I shouldn't have said that. I didn't know any better as a 20-year-old kid.
Sure.
I
There
mean,
were a bunch of
you
there have been Panther reunions every now and then, and some people definitely don't come or definitely aren't invited. And even like the Panther 21 trial, it's interesting because there were 21 members of the Panthers on trial. I can't remember if it was 2, 3, or 4, but escaped, left the country, right? And the people on trial weren't happy about that. They were like, "You just abandoned us. Like in our toughest moment, you just ditched us." And like, I mean, at the end of the day, people are people, white, black, Asian, whatever, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, like people are flawed and like people disappoint you. And I just remember, wow, that was actually a profound disappointment. I thought you're Afeni Shakur, you think we're all in this together. And the other thing about the Panthers that is very real is there's a lot of misogyny in the Panthers. And there was a lot of like, why is this woman, why is she getting the attention? Why is she doing this? Who does she, oh, she thinks she's a star now. And like Afeni Shakur, again, 21 years old, no high school diploma, turns down a court-appointed attorney to represent herself while pregnant with her son, was just the badass of badasses.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I got like 3 more questions for you, right? This time flies, man. We can never do all of this, man. I want to ask you about journalism, the current state of journalism. So whenever I interview a professional like yourself, I love to ask the question about what's your take on today's current journalism, where a guy like me just get a cell phone and start we doing this, right? I didn't go to school for journalism. I didn't go do the long track that normal folks do. How do you feel about traditional journalism versus like today's social media creator journalism? What's your take on that?
All right, first of all, and I'm not kissing your ass, you asked really good questions, which is a big,
Wow.
like, no,
Thanks
you asked
for
great questions. You know that your questions are great, and like they're just like informed and they're smart, and you did your research and blah blah blah. I'm like, that's half the battle, right? If I'm being honest with you, like I don't want to be the Grim Reaper here. Like I wish someone like you was entering journalism 25 years ago. And when I mean someone like you, I mean someone who seems to have a real love for
wow.
like the idea of it. Because I mean, I just had this conversation about an hour ago with someone I went to college with. Like when I went to University of Delaware. When I was a senior at the student newspaper, we all knew if we wanted to work in media, there would be a job. And there would probably be a newspaper job. And it might be a small newspaper, it might be the Elton, Maryland town newspaper, but you knew there'd be a job. My first job was at the Nashville Tennessean. And now it's so much harder. And I've been, number one, you have a corporate takeover of media that's very disconcerting. And again, like you have a lot of places now that are very nervous about Donald Trump and the administration, and we have to treat the White House with kid gloves, which is so disturbing to me because he's, in my opinion, just an absolute disgrace of a non-human being and does not deserve to be treated with reverence. But you have people kneeling before him like this. It's really disturbing to me. The good thing is, if you want a good thing about modern media, I mean, number one, 25 years ago, we wouldn't be doing this. This didn't exist, right? So like, we wouldn't know each other. That wouldn't happen. Number two, like, I still believe people love good storytelling. I do. I have a YouTube show called Press Box Chronicles that was started because of my TikTok feed, and it allows me to get paid to do it. And I have advertising, and I think people love storytelling. I just think like the traditional media destruction makes it much harder to figure out where to go and how to do it properly.
So you're in the classroom, you said you teach in journalism. What
I
are
do.
your thoughts on AI technology and the amount of AI being used in writing, in journalism, in books? I mean, take on that.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it times 1,000. Like I hate it. I teach at a school out here. I teach intro to journalism at a school called Chapman University. I've taught about 9 years. This is the first time ever. You cannot. I have them write most of their stuff on paper or in class while I'm watching because I don't want them using AI, right? I don't want them cheating. I met someone the other day, a student who told me she's a media student. She wants to work in media. 70% of her papers, she has AI write for her. Like,
last night doing my research, I read your page or your actual website.
yeah.
And I read your track of journalism and you being on the beat, things you did. For this interview, I could have really just told AI, I'm doing the interview with you. And they would have just spit out 10 to 15 questions.
Sure. Correct.
Your audio book is like 18, 19 hours long.
Yeah.
I did it like twice to make sure like I was ready.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I could have just mailed it in. I mean,
Sure.
that's the reality of today. It's horrible, man.
I have a friend who her friend is getting married and she has to give a speech as the maid of honor. And I said jokingly, I was like, oh, just have AI write the speech. I was kidding. She tried it to see, and the speech wasn't bad, right? But the thing is, it wasn't bad. And I'm sure you could have gotten 20 good questions to ask me off of it.
I really, really could have. In my voice, in my tone, in my cadence, in my everything.
But the thing is, here's the thing. This is the thing I hold on to. And maybe I'm being Pollyannic or something, but like I said to you, like I noticed Sam Cassell went to high school with Tupac, or they were probably at Dunbar. And then I had to reach out to the Sixers and the Sixers PR guy and blah, blah, blah. The machine may be able to tell me Tupac and Sam Cassell were at high school at the same time. A computer might be able to tell me that. But a computer isn't going to know exactly what I want to ask. A computer might be able to say Tupac liked soda because he said that in an interview. But it's not going to be able to describe the soda and the taste of what an orange soda in a glass of ice. Like the human component of it all, I don't know. Maybe one day you can, but I don't think right now you can replicate. And that, like, even you asking questions, this is a human engagement. You can have AI ask me 10 questions, but it's not the same back and forth. You interrupt, I interrupt. We go, wait, that's what makes it different.
And you didn't ask about this show, right? But the reason why I made this show, I'm an author as well. In the beginning, I can tell when I did shows who didn't read the book.
Right.
I can tell based on what you're asking me, like, clearly you didn't read the book. So I want to make a show where I get a chance to ask people like yourself, hopefully intelligent questions, and let you really talk about what you want to talk about.
Wait, I have a question for you.
All your work.
What was it? What do you consider the giveaway questions that the person didn't read the book? How can you tell? What are the questions you got?
It's real surface questions. It's really, really surface. It's really like you're not digging in. And so I would leave the show thinking like, man, I want to discuss this. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. Yeah. Promo is marketing. I want to be able to market my publication. Yeah. If you're not asking me better questions, I can't get to this stuff.
There used to be a thing when I would promote a sports book, they would have you basically do like especially back in the day, sports radio, you would do like 20 interviews in a row. So you take your morning or your whole day basically, and it would be 10-minute. All right, you're now on with KRST in Arkansas. Then you're on with TRST in Toledo. And you do it. And you always knew early on. Now, most of the time they weren't reading the book, but they would say, so what was your motivation for writing a book about Brett Favre? And what was something new you learned about Brett Favre? And what's your impression? And you always knew. You could tell immediately because there are no hyper specifics at all. It says, why, blah, blah, blah. Why broad questions a monkey or a dog could have asked me, you know?
And like you said about this Tupac book, for an example, in my research, there are like certain buzz things that I know everybody want to talk about.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't want to do those questions. Like, they all do it. I want to do something different with you. And
no, you are right on 1,000%. You're way that, like, you might be the first guy not to ask me about Brenda's got a baby. And I applaud you for that, even though it would have been a fair question. But like, if you hear, to me, like, ultimately as an interviewer, I'm asking for me. Like, I'm curious. Well, here are the things I'm curious about. So if I've heard this guy talk about this thing 15 different times, I don't need a 16th. Right. I'm totally with you.
My last question.
Okay, better be a good one. Better be the world champion question.
No pressure. No pressure. The Lakers. So your next book is about the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm a long time Laker fan, like before Kobe Bryant. Like Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, like that format.
Yep.
But first, what you going to uncover with the Lakers now? You already have a Laker book already.
Yep.
TV show. What's going to be different this time?
All right. So basically, all right, I will tell you, I have 2 Laker books actually. So I wrote a book about the Showtime Lakers called Showtime. That's a book that became Winning Time in HBO. Then I wrote a book called Three Ring Circus about the Shaq Kobe Lakers. And that came out right after Kobe died, which was kind of sad and tragic and timing and everything was weird, right? But this book, I decided it'd be cool to have a trilogy. I just thought, oh, it'd be kind of neat to have a trilogy. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the time period. Shaq leaves for Miami. Phil Jackson leaves. Kobe decides that he's either going to go Clippers or Lakers. He goes to the Lakers, stays with the Lakers. The Eagle Colorado rape case is still kind of hanging over his head. And what people forget, which is kind of interesting, is he was kind of public enemy number 1 in Los Angeles. You forced out Shaq, you forced out Phil. The team sucked for 2 years. They weren't good.
Bro,
I know, right?
You know what I hate? The minute Kobe Bryant died, all this Kobe Bryant love, my whole time living in different parts of the country, being a Kobe fan, I was most time the only Kobe guy in any sports bar, wherever I went. People hated Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
But then whenever he died, oh man, Kobe Bryant, the mama mentality, man, stop that.
100%. I mean, it's okay because when someone dies, I get it. Like, it's fair. It's a human reaction. But people are like, you may disagree with this. Sometimes people will be like, who's the GOAT? Kobe, LeBron, or MJ? And I'm like, I'm not putting Kobe in that discussion. Like, I love Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was a great player. Kobe's not one of the top 3 basketball players of all time. I'm sorry.
Who is your GOAT? Who is the GOAT?
I had to pick, I'd still say Jordan, but I will say the LeBron Jordan. Kareem would be 3rd for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Kareem. Yeah. Okay.
But like, Kobe, like, all right, here, if we're being honest.
Go ahead. Go with it.
Much respect for Kobe. Obviously, he died, blah, blah, blah. If we're being honest, he shot a lot. He was a tough teammate to be around.
But wait a minute, Joe. Let me push back a little bit. Michael Jordan shot a lot.
What's the shooting percentage? What's the
he was a tough teammate to get punched in the face.
Sure. Wait, time out. I would argue that people say that about Jordan, though. I think people talk willingly about Jordan being a pain in the ass. I think Pippen has been very open. I think trying to think what other guys on the Bulls. Ron Hart.
Well, they have a whole tour overseas, right? It's like Pippen, Will Purdue, and somebody else. Horace Grant, somebody.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Talking about the Bulls.
Yeah. All I'm saying is when someone dies young, which is understandable, we deify them and we make it blah, blah, blah. Kobe was not an easy teammate. Kobe shot a lot. Like Kobe's final game, which was a glorious, awesome moment against Utah when he scored the whatever. Like, you have a friend here, by the way. We need the LeBron Lakers. Someone's doing that book. That final game, he shot? I forgot how many times he shot. It was, do you remember?
It was a lot. Maybe 40 plus shots. Maybe 40 plus.
It was totally cool. It was a meaningless game. Yeah, it was fine. It was a meaningless game. It was a great moment. It was awesome. I support it. It was cool. But I'm just saying, like, there is a gap between LeBron and Jordan and Kobe. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. Just a little sparring. A little sparring.
So the book I'm doing is going to be it's like Kobe. So it's basically Kobe. The Lakers hit the shitter. Everyone kind of hates Kobe. Then they get Gasol. Then they get Artest. Phil Jackson comes back and they kind of rebound, and then they win the 2 titles. They get and it's kind of this like cool. So I like that. I think it'll be fun.
Yes, sir. We're getting out of here, man. But last thing, the Michael Jackson movie just came out this past weekend. Have you seen it?
No, have you?
Yes, I saw it Saturday.
How was it?
It was amazing. 5 out of 5.
Wow.
And my whole time watching it, knowing I'm doing this interview with you about Tupac, I'm seeing the similarities in my mind. Like these 2 mega bigger than life figures.
Yeah.
And they were like tortured souls, man. Like on the inside of them, what they went through, what they dealt with. It's a crazy dichotomy of how their life is portrayed versus their inner life.
I think there are very few. I mean, I'm going to send you the Marvin Gaye book and you'll see that too. Like there are very few musical and maybe acting, I don't know, theater geniuses who don't, I think personally, don't have a torture behind it all. Something that informs that, where they can dig really deep and have this pain. I just think that's part of it. So definitely Tupac, definitely Michael Jackson, definitely Marvin Gaye, definitely Jim Morrison, certainly Kurt Cobain. Like they're just certain people the pain drives the greatness, you know?
So would you say this is why today's current, well, hip hop and sports, like a lot of these guys coming from better backgrounds, right? They're not the guy in the projects with the lights off, like Iverson and Kevin Garnett and Jermaine O'Neal. They're not those guys. So the game is, they're not as quote unquote hungry, they would say, as the guys before.
I mean, it's such an interesting question. Sports wise, it's interesting because so many of these guys, even if they come from poor backgrounds, they're being discovered fairly early, right? And then they'll be like, we're going to send you to this prep school to play for X number of years. And then this and blah, blah, blah. Here's your gear and we're going to sponsor you. They still have obviously poverty and a lot of history. Like my wife and I have been talking about this a lot. Like just because you didn't know your grandparents or your great grandparents, just because if your family has a Holocaust background like mine does, or a background where your great grandparents were slaves, right? Just because you didn't know them doesn't mean you don't carry the family trauma that came along with it. That's actually really, really true and has been studied. So I don't want to dismiss someone's like background.
Epigenetics.
I don't even know, but it's very interesting actually. Like you wonder, like, why do I have this trait? Why do I carry this with me? And a lot of it is unknown relatives who pass it down to you. So I don't think we should just. I don't want to just dismiss someone because like whatever they're at a prep school. Doesn't mean you weren't eating spam off a griddle when you were 7.
Yeah, because like you said with Tupac, right? I'm thinking about Allen Iverson at Georgetown driving the Benz.
Right.
But like, your mom is in the projects, your sister needs medicine, right, and like the lights is off, the gas is off.
Correct.
So you gotta go to the NBA because it's like, man, I gotta feed my family. Like, right, I can't wait till next year. I gotta feed them right now.
And also, just because you're living in a mansion doesn't mean doesn't mean you're past living in a 1-bedroom apartment with your mom and your 3 siblings and your dad. Doesn't take away the pain of that. It doesn't erase it. Stuff doesn't just get scrubbed away because you have a mansion and a nice car.
Yes, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the allowance and the interview. And thank you very, very much, man. Yeah. Whenever that next book come out, man, come back, man, for the Laker book. Please come back.
100%. And DM me on Instagram. I'll give your address, and I will send you. I promise you, I'll send you the Marvin Gaye book.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you very, very much for the audience, man. Thank y'all for the Sean P experience. Until next time, peace. Right, we're off the air, my